And we went ahead and we. No. Coming to the right side.
And Maureen, I can hear the room if you're unsure about the audio.
Here we go. Now you should be able to hear us.
Can people online hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yay. Okay, because we're,
I'm gonna try testing the audio and video one more time, just say something.
can people online hear us?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry about that. Out of luck.
bad.
Okay.
Can we get echoless? All right.
It's gone if I don't talk.
Okay, so better late than never. So it's 7:10 and welcome everyone to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Today is August 15th. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everyone. How about a roll call?
Hey, June Daly. Here. Andrew Lou Millard. Here. Diane Joyce asked to be excused. Timothy Zigmont.
Here.
Ryan Rogan. You hear from him? I don't recall.
I-
Here, but he might have said something last month.
All right, so excuse
Joan Veely.
here.
Scott Hamel.
He's asked to be excused.
Michael Pashuk asked to be excused. John
Falling like
Dyken.
flies.
Present.
And Steve
Still
Vela Jr.
Here.
Okay, we have a lot of missing full members, and so I'm going to ask Steve that you step up, and also John. you're here, thank goodness. And so we'll continue on with the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Right, you'll both be seated. Okay,
Thank
the
you.
approval, you're welcome. Approval of the minutes for the meeting of August 1st. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? Are there any corrections? Um,
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes for the August 1st, 2024 meeting.
okay, excellent. Motion by Mr. Dyken to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Steve Biella has the second. Further discussion, any questions? And all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, June Daly's abstaining. Other than that, so moved. The Autumn Commission meeting schedule modification discussion, this is going to be very quick. We had talked about perhaps giving the commission a little bit of a break because we've been running full speed for a couple of years now. And looking forward to the October, November, and December schedule, we are hoping to reduce it down to one meeting a month, which seemed to have some support at our last meeting. So with that, I'm going to say that we are looking at this point in November. I know that Maureen and I had a question about the 7th and the 21st of November, canceling those meetings and scheduling one meeting at November 14th. But I'll ask the rest of the commission for feedback on that one, November schedule.
Okay with me.
I'm available. I'm available for Thursday, so either week's fine.
Thank you. Anyone else? Dyken, John Dyken, Andra, can we look at our calendars?
Sorry, those two dates. I do have a conflict on the 17th of October.
Okay, we'll get to that one. Just let me deal with the November one.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Steve Biella, how does that sound for you?
Beautiful.
Okay, all right. So I believe that, do we need a motion? Can I have a motion for the November meetings to consolidate?
A motion to make the November meeting, November 14th, one meeting.
One meeting, okay.
Cancel the November, just for clarity, cancel the
Cancel the
November
other
7th and 21st and schedule a meeting for November 14th.
I second that.
And we have a second by Ms. Daly for the discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so moved. Let's look at December's schedule. Real quick, and then we'll go back to October. I want to catch up on October too.
So I did provide you with a calendar that in your package that kind of tells you the holidays.
Oh, there you are.
Ashley did a
Color chart. That was very fancy.
kind of helping with what some key dates that we thought might be interesting to people, the holidays. You'll notice Veterans Day in November is not highlighted because it's not a holiday at the town hall. We don't have it off any longer, but
They
it's
should.
still a holiday, so we have it listed that
Yeah.
way. As a
Of Juneteenth.
holiday. Election Day again is a bad day for meetings if there was any chance of being a different week, and tried to get those so that you could see the holidays that are around long weekends and whatnot.
Okay. So in November, right now, we have it scheduled for the 7th and the 21st. Oh, we already did November. Okay. So now we're going to December 5 and 19. How do we feel about December 5th and 19th? Is it too close to Christmas?
It's a week before Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Everyone okay with 2 meetings, or do we go down to 1?
Given how quickly the commission business can accumulate, I'm in favor of having as many meetings as we can obviously handle. And I'm certainly okay with having 2 in December.
Okay, all righty.
Two's
So we'll-
okay with me
All
too.
right, so we'll leave it at 2 in December then. So no change there. Let's go to October.
October, I recommended going on the 17th to the 24th because it interferes with that early voting.
Well, early voting starts on the 21st.
Oh, I'm
Just-
sorry, I wrote the calendar
Okay.
wrong. I
No,
thought-
that's okay.
Then the 3rd and the
Yeah,
17th.
and early
Okay.
voting runs all the way through to the 3rd of November,
Okay,
including 3rd of November.
so if 17 is okay, then we're
Yeah.
We're okay with 2 meetings in October.
All right, you want to do 2 in October? Andrea, did you have a problem with the
I
17th?
cannot make the 17th.
Okay, so Andrea is asked to be excused. Okay, and that's pretty much the consensus of the commission. Okay, so we'll leave the calendar as it stands in October then.
And as we approach a date, if do end up being conflicts, so obviously the commission can do its thing again, but this was a overall viewing, knowing that there were some concerns about some of those dates and conflicts.
Okay, all right, terrific. So that's all settled down.
Joan,
Yes,
I did want to just mention that I did review the last meeting. Just mention that because I was out last meeting.
yeah.
And I just wanted to mention that I had reviewed the.
Oh,
meeting
okay, that
online.
you watch. Oh, yeah, okay. Terrific, thank you. Yeah, you could just pull it up, yeah. All righty, terrific. So let's move on to the receipt of new applications and scheduling of public hearings as required or necessary. The first item is a site plan application of La Provence Realty LLC and Wheezy LLC to construct a 7,441 square foot expansion onto an existing auto facility, Shaler Honda, at 0 and 11 New Britain Road and the CCD 1 zone.
And Madam Chair, I must recuse myself from this matter.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Thank you, Mr. Dyken.
Just a clarification, this was scheduled, so I just want to just note that it was, the motion ended up being scheduling a public hearing. There's no public hearing required. I don't think that was the intent. I think it was confusing on the agenda because we had mislabeled it as must open instead of must decide for 10-5.
Mhm.
So this is really just a clarification that the application is a site plan, a site plan application. And it was a suggested date of 9/19 for the presentation of the application and to meet the abutting town notification, which has to have the 35 days notice.
Okay.
So if you, are still fine with that date, you just won't notice it as a public hearing. If the intent was of the commission to hold a public hearing on the site plan application, that's fine too, and we can run the notice for that, but it wasn't required.
Okay,
And it wasn't. Where is this located? This is, if you go up New Britain Road and you cross the highway, Shaler is immediately on the right. The southerly end of their use is in Berlin. So the building is in Berlin and the addition will be in Berlin.
Is it already currently some auto fire or auto?
Yes, it's an addition to a building that's there. On an improved lot. It's an improved lot and it's been through wetlands.
so is it over the hill or
If you want to,
Goes directly across from Willowbrook Park.
you want to, one of the 50-yard line of the stadium is the line in Berlin, no Britain. So if you went right by the 50-yard line, you go into Shaler.
all right, so we just needed to do a clarification on that. We don't need any
Right,
motions
I
on
want-
that.
no, what I wanted is that it's not, well, I guess I would suggest you say you're not scheduling a public hearing, that, the commission make that announcement, that it's not a public hearing, it is a regular meeting, commission business site plan application.
Okay,
And that's the clarification of that. Then we'll still keep the date of, my suggestion is to still keep the date of 9/19 because you had to notify the abutting town.
okay, so we're,
Motion to cancel the public hearing that we voted on and have a meeting date of 9/19 on this application.
okay, Mr. Zigma has a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Millard. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, so moved. All righty, excellent.
Yeah.
Commission business, commission comments on the possible scheduling of staff consultant proposed text amendments. And this was presented, yes, welcome back, Mr. Dyken.
you.
Presented 7/18/2024 with a suggested date of 10/3/2024. All
So
right,
that is, we had, well, I'll let you go with this. Francisco's online.
okay,
Again, if the commission, the suggested date is only the first possible date. Given the other items you already have scheduled for public hearing on the 19th of September. But you may not be ready to schedule that at this point. I just put one to get you started.
and that's for,
It once once amendments are drafted, to then notice them so that you hold public hearings on them. So if you're not ready to have those amendments drafted, or you are ready, then.
Okay,
lead
and
time.
that,
It's just the amount of lead time I need.
and that basically is going to the FHI,
So.
and Francisco. Okay. Francisco, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. It's good to see you all.
It's good to see you, and I must say that, I was a little remiss, with trying to, focus on the presentation that you provided us and also to consolidate my thoughts, and, feelings toward it. However, I believe I'm not alone in that, and I think, the commission, also feels that they need a little bit more time to go through these very specific questions that you proposed. But I think that you proposed them, and correct me if I'm wrong, you proposed them to get our thought process going.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes. You know, I realize we presented you with a lot of information at our last meeting all at once. And we wanted to distill that into the specific requests of you, in that what we are asking you as a commission to consider specifically for us to advance. So we broke that down into a series of questions where we identify what it is that we're recommending you consider, and we ask your opinion on that. And I think it's our intention that you take the time you need to review this. And you come to a decision as to which items, which recommendations you're comfortable with us moving forward with, which ones you have additional questions about that require discussion, and maybe even which items are non-starters for you. But really to go through it with that approach in mind.
okay, all right. Commission, do we have any questions or just scratching the surface?
No, I was just thinking in my mind too, as we review this and as we talk this evening, that the original conversation with your PowerPoint is on recording, so we could always go back and reference that too to help us with some of the detail.
No, excellent,
That's always a great reminder. Thank you, Joan.
yeah.
The only question I would have,
Mr. Zigma?
the only question I would have is on BT one, BT two, you're reducing the minimum size lot from 2 acres to 1 acre.
Right.
On a commercial piece of property, not a lot you could put on 1 acre. And that's my question.
And that's in response to some mapping that we did where we found that there's a significant percentage of properties currently in that district that are not 2 acres, that are 1 acre or 1.5 acres. Many properties that are do not meet the 2 acre standard. And so that 2 acre requirement is a real barrier to the improvement redevelopment of those properties. The intention, and I realize you need to take all this into consideration, so I don't want to get too far into the weeds this evening. My purpose is just to introduce what's being asked of you. The intention with revising this or opening this up to consideration for reduction is to unlock some of those properties that currently the property owner really has no incentive to do anything with them because they don't meet the minimum lot requirement for any sort of substantial improvements to the property or redevelopment of the property. It can be very costly and challenging to acquire adjacent properties and a sufficient number of them to meet the 2 acre requirement, and that it can be a barrier to redevelopment of properties.
But if I remember the regulations, that was the purpose of it, to combine properties in order to get a halfway substantial development on the properties. And then like that 10 acres for one spot.
Right.
The, and that was the purpose of it.
You're absolutely correct. That was the purpose and the intention. However, it's proven to be more of a barrier than it has been effective at being an incentive to support that type of activity.
And the second reason was because there's
Yeah.
not depth in those lots on Berlin Turnpike. Because of wetlands or whatever.
Yeah.
There's no depth to them. So in order to, that 1 acre lot, that's probably half acre water, wetlands. Would have to combine two and make something that's halfway
Yeah.
decent size. And that's, because of the depth problem on these properties too, was a reason for it.
Yeah, understood.
Well, yes, June.
Yeah, just tagging on to what Tim has to offer, and I think he makes a good point. I think for the property that we specifically looked at, those seem like some really good reasons to make those adjustments. Sometimes my caution is making a blanket direction for all cases. So just something to think about.
Yes. Anyone else? Okay. All right. Yeah, I think we just need to look at this and try to imagine what we can do with it, and find out if there's things that are acceptable to us in the thought process to allow into the different zones. But, Maureen, when can we reschedule this conversation where we could probably catch up to our, our consultant?
So the next meeting, which is September, half a second.
The 7th or
The
something?
first week, it's the first week of September. September 5th is, a fairly light agenda because you've scheduled things for the 19th already, in September. So that's a possibility. You'll have several public hearings, plans that are coming up on the 19th. That's a possibility. Again, that's only 2 weeks away, so that may or may not work well. I won't be here that day, but
The
I could
5th?
probably join meeting. Yeah, we've got the baby for the week, so I'm off that week.
Well, do you think that we should change the September 5th meeting then? If you're not
Alexa
gonna-
will be here and we're,
Okay,
gung ho, we can tag team and hopefully get some normalcy to the workings of the
okay,
meetings.
She's
Yeah.
learned good.
all right.
She's excellent.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Commission, what do you think? Will we have a better grip on this or handle on this in 2 weeks or,
Definitely.
yeah? Yeah, yep. Tim,
And
we'll all
I
do our
don't like-
homework?
Fine with
we
me.
also have to check with our consultants to see
Yeah.
if that's a possibility for the consultant, because that's
I-
always, of course,
I just, Maureen, I just checked my schedule and it appears that I am available that evening.
And we could put him first on the agenda.
Always appreciate it.
Yeah, well, this way we don't, dragging you in through, you and Mr. Mahoney into the wee hours of the morning. Okay, why don't we do that then? So we have a motion? Do we need a motion?
Make a
I think
motion-
it's always a good idea.
Motion to the 5th.
All right, yeah, we'll go to
September
September 5th and we'll all promise to do our homework. Okay,
Second.
motion to move this item to the 5th of September by Mr. Zigma, and it was seconded by Mr. Dyken. Further discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, so moved. Thank you, Steve. All righty. So we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Good night,
guys.
everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Have
your
a nice
time.
evening.
Night.
All right,
Night.
thank you. All right, bond reduction releases, 873 Farmington Avenue, Kokomo Brothers Associates request for a release of a site bond. This was continued from August 1st.
Supposed to have Mike Ahern, supposed to review.
Yeah, so he's
Yep.
away.
He's still away? Okay, so why don't we table this?
I do have, I
Oh.
can tell you what we were able to and not able to find. As far as, because he and Jim did both, basically, agree with, my, summation of, of reasoning for, not objecting to its release was, so what we were not able to find was a specific landscape plan. My best, I hate to use the word assumption, because that's such, no,
Yeah.
everybody knows the cliche. But, is that very often the commission would put a landscape plan in Director Riggins' hands and say landscaping to be worked out with the town planner at that time. So we had the notes from her as to what was put in and what wasn't. I was able to talk to the applicant as well as Alexa doing even further search than I did through plans and records and not find anything that talked to the landscaping. We did find a photograph that showed where that fence was. We had the discussion about the fence. I thought it was on the west side of the property. Actually, in one of the pictures, you can see where it was on the right side of the property between 861, which is Newport's, and 873. And it definitely had to come down with the improvements to 861 that Newport's put in, as well as the island there that has had plantings in it. Those were, they're required to be, that's compliant with the site plan that exists now for the property. Is being actively worked on for 861, which combines the two driveways. The plantings in front of the building and in the island where the parking will eventually be removed are all there. They're appeared to be consistent with what we found. Yeah. I think I shared some of these pictures last time. But it was the pictures Helen took as well, and that was coincided with her notes on it, that those plantings were in. The was the other one. So the fence, this fence was 16 sets, 25 of the 25 of the bond, and that is no longer a requirement of the plan because there's a new plan. The landscaping shrubs all do seem to be in according with those pictures that were taken. The thought there was one of these, I'm sorry, I thought I saw, oh, it was a Helen's notes. At the time, it wasn't released in the first place, there was the dumpster screening, but the dumpster screening is in the photos. The dumpster then came out anyway, but it's not on this bond sheet. These are from 10/14/2010. But the dumpster is gone because the tenant that had the dumpster is gone and there's no need for a dumpster on this site right now. The new dumpster for the improvements and the approved plan with Newport will be in a different location. The top side, that was already gone. So it's trees, shrubs, and that fence, the bulk of it's kind of divided between the two, 1625 and then 1350. So pretty even split between landscaping. And again, I could bring it up if you'd like.
So has the landscaping all been done as far as we know, to the best of his ability?
So the landscaping per the 2009 plan that could still be there is still there.
Okay.
Landscaping there's this strip.
And did we have any other additional requirements on him other than 2009? Because here we are in 2024, so
In 2020,
is he missing something?
2019, or
Yeah.
well, the stipulated judgment with the case with Newport when
Yeah.
you approved the TOD, the landscaping, some of that landscaping had to come out.
Okay,
Or 861, which is Newport's building to the left,
okay,
to drive in.
all right, I remember that.
So I'm gonna pass this picture around, which is I'm gonna hold it up first, but you're standing on Farmington Avenue.
Mhm.
This is 873. This is the 861 building. This is, for lack of a better word, the Esplanade in the shared driveway, what's now their shared driveway. That has planting, it's a
The fence.
curbed, bermed, planted, and then in the back, and that's why I'm gonna pass it around because it's very, I didn't find it when I first looked at, before the last meeting. I couldn't find where the fence was. I was like, there's no fence. I don't know where this fence was belonging. And I thought it was belonging on the other side next to Joel's.
Mm-hmm.
But in fact, this is where Drain Doctor was. And it's this split rail fence at the back. And again, had to come out so that Newport could park where they need to park. So I guess my, I don't see that the landscaping and fence in that area is any longer required. It was installed. But, so it lasted more than a year. The landscaping in front is thriving if he does not pursue the addition. The landscaping he has along the front of the building and along the street is all there, except for the plant Joel's took out for a sight line. And therefore, I don't see that we're holding money for anything that's currently.
Okay, all right, that's
That's my view
professional,
of
yeah. Okay, that's what we
going
need.
through this.
I guess her explanation right now has relieved my concerns that I had. That we got more information on it and that it's okay now. So I make a motion to release the bond for 873 Farmington Avenue, Kokomo Brothers Associates.
Okay, we have a motion to release what's left of the bond, right? Whatever that total is.
Yep.
So we have a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dyken. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So moved. Okay,
Can I go back to something else?
yes.
Sorry, I was supposed to mention this for the receipt of new applications. So applications come in and their official date of receipt is the date, most of you know this, but for record, I'm repeating it. Is the date of the next meeting after the date of submission. So of course, after the agenda was published, we got in an application before today. So there is one more application that was received. It's 1073 Farmington Avenue and 40 Porter's Pass. That's it's Colvest property. That's next to, or what Mary's Bakery was.
Yep.
And we haven't looked through the plans yet, but they've, submitted a special permit use with site plan for fast food use with drive-through. At that location in combination with 40 Porter's Pass, which is the building behind it. That's an old non-conforming auto use. You know, that's what it always was. Everybody knows that building back
Chop
there,
shop
right?
back.
Yeah, chop shop.
Shop it was.
No, next to CVS, but not next to CVS. It jumps over one. So that will be a special permit, so it's a public hearing. So, I just wanted to alert you that there is that new application, and if you'd like to schedule the public hearing for that item, I'd suggest it for, October 3rd, unless you think you can handle another thing on the 19th, but I'm not encouraging that.
I make a motion to place that special permit on October 3rd.
We have a motion by Mr. Zigmont. Do I have a second?
Second,
Okay, June Daly got the second. Further discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so moved. Okay,
Thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't.
no, that's okay, that's okay. Discussion of the Act Lab cannabis testing lab use.
That one has, withdrawn their request for you to discuss it at this time.
Okay, excellent. So we don't need any motions or anything because they've withdrawn.
No, and it really wasn't. It was.
Yeah.
They've alerted us that they've
Yeah,
And
that's fine.
not needing your feedback at this time.
Okay. Public hearings. Now, do we need to read the call for the public hearing or are these all continued? These
These are
were,
all- This is continued. It's the one that's continued that we're waiting for the appeal period to end on the stipulation that was
Right.
approved by the court.
all right, so we're still waiting.
That should be fun.
It's today or tomorrow. I believe it's a 15-day appeal period.
It's a 20-day appeal period, so we were here 14 days ago, so we have another 6 days. Oh, actually, I don't know when it was
No,
approved
it
by
was,
the court.
it was the first. It went to
Right.
court on the
So
first.
that's correct, okay.
So it has a 20-day, okay. I
All right.
wasn't sure the 15 was correct.
Everybody continue to appeal?
So please continue it again.
Okay, so we're gonna, do we have a motion to continue?
Motion to continue.
Okay, motion to continue by Mr. Zigma.
I'll
and
second.
Second by Ms. Daly. Further discussion. All those in favor? Aye, those opposed, so moved.
I did want to add a comment if I could. In reviewing the tapes on it, the judge was very complimentary to Berlin. Our attorney was very complimentary and supportive, but I also wanted to make a point to thank the attorney and Maureen, our town manager, as well as Glenn, who helped us with a lot of those things. I think it is everybody's effort together that makes a good product. So I did want to add that. Thank you.
Okay, all righty.
Echo those comments.
For all of
Okay,
us, I will say thank you. We appreciate it.
Okay,
Like I said before, the state, CROG and everything else also, complimented the town of Berlin on their stuff with the 830G and how we handled it. It's great.
well, that's good to know.
The state's saying good.
And then you know something's wrong.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You're afraid that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right, thank you for all that. Thank you for sharing. So on to the deliberations, which of course, we're not gonna deliberate. So that was also continued, right, Mr. Zigmont? Mr. Zigmont's motioning, yes, that's his motion, continue. And June Daly is motioning that we're continuing under the deliberations. Okay, all right.
Not
Planners' comments. Oh, this is nice. This is a nice feeling. This is, let's not stop this.
We won't stop it. We're gonna be very, very quick here.
Okay,
I just wanted you to know that, our zoning officer has been madly working on a number of different issues and items. I know it's not normal for us to give like a report, but there were some things that have been topics of concern. So, I wanted to let you know that, with regard to the POCD and farming, he's reached out to the operator of the farm stand on Lower Lane, and we're expecting some feedback with regard to that. And also looking into some of the wording in our regulations, which has also been discussed at the POCD meetings. So I think that's, just something to keep you aware that that's ongoing and worked through. We have been working on expected staff amendments that don't go along with FHI, they go along with statutes instead. The statutory changes that we've discussed when you saw a couple of recent automobile uses. The statutes no longer call for location approval by the zoning board of appeals. And therefore our regulations need to be updated to coincide with the statutes. So if you have or don't have off the top of your head, what we have in the regulations is the location approvals for auto uses, and that includes gasoline as well as repair and lots and whatever. Typically, in my experience, since I started here, any of the existing locations just went to ZBA. ZBA put the conditions on that were part of the approval of the use, which is the way it's worded in the regulations, that it's not just the location approval, it's also the special permit through ZBA. And then in other sections, the special permit is a P and Z special permit. What we're leaning towards and is, well, we're not leaning one way or another. The question is, revising the regs. One, it will be revised to take out the location approval. That doesn't exist anymore. But two, does ZBA still look at it for some of those parameters or strictly come to P and Z for the special permit? Make it consistent. So all of them do one or the other or both. And
and what would this be addressing?
Auto uses, automobile uses. So for the location approvals, right now, it's so confusing. Okay.
Yeah,
In the past, in order for the planning and the operator to get a license from the state, from DMV, to operate an auto use, they had a form, and the form requires, and still requires, the zoning officer's signature. And when a location approval was required by statute, it was a zoning approval, and we referenced the date of the zoning board of appeals approval of it and attached the plan to it. It shows what the layout has to be in compliance with that approval. If it's an existing, P and Z didn't see it because the site plan was already there. ZBA would, however, impose continued conditions or change of conditions if there was other things that had changed in time from one operator operating a site to a new operator. Now that the form only requires zoning officer approval, not approval on behalf of the ZBA's approval of it. No, we don't have to reference that date. It doesn't go to ZBA anymore for that locate, it's called a location approval. But we still have site plan approvals if it's a new location. And in most, I think in all zones, it's a special permit. It's either a special permit through ZBA or a special permit through P and Z, depending on the section of the regs. I haven't looked in them a while.
yeah,
Paulie compiled it a while back, but we're looking to get this off our to-do list to
yeah,
apply it with the regs.
yeah,
So, for the most part, I would say, clearly site plans are something that is under the Planning and Zoning Commission's purview. And the
Yep.
Planning and Zoning Commission should look at a site plan and changes to a site. The use portion, the special permit, well, some special permits are P and Z and some are ZBA. We have, I think, I don't have my regs open in front of me, but I'm thinking like churches maybe are a ZBA special permit
Yeah.
use. Liquor stores are a ZBA special permit use. You do have some special permit uses that are ZBA special
Yeah.
permit uses, so it's a matter of if they don't have site changes, special permit from P and Z or special permit from ZBA. If they do have site changes, site plan from P and Z, special permit from P and Z too, or have it be from ZBA.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to think about it a little more. It's a little confusing,
yeah,
but I'm not sure I can
I think it should go to P&Z.
for the special permit as well.
yeah,
Right. The, ZBA is, basically hardships and stuff that have to be shown. Okay, if it's going from one auto to another auto, what's the hardship? There's no hardship.
Well, it would be a different function. It would be them doing a special permit as opposed to them doing a variance. It's their charge under doing other action, not a variance. It wouldn't be a variance. It's still a special permit. In some towns, they change it and so the town I started in, it made it a lot easier. Where if it was from P and Z, it was a special permit. If it was from ZBA, it was a special exception. It just kept the dialogue easier for everybody to know where they were going. The mechanism, it's still a mechanism. ZBA can and has the ability to oversee if that's the choice of the regulation.
Yeah, certainly ZBA, any ZBA's purview is more than just granting variances. They might, they deal with appeals from the building official, zoning official. They certainly deal with special permits, as you said, Maureen. So like you said, it may very well be just a matter of who gets the say in the permit at this point. But, it's not like ZBA is not, they don't, they're not ready to deal with this for sure. I would definitely wouldn't want to say that.
Who's that? I'm sorry.
Zoning Board of Appeals. In other words, they don't just deal with variances, they deal with a
Oh.
lot of stuff. I don't want to say ZBA doesn't do quite a bit.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Not confused. Thank you for clearing that up.
yeah,
Again, it may not be something you're ready to respond to, or it may be that in the public, obviously it's gonna be a zoning regulation amendment. So there will be vetting the pluses of minuses, both by the language itself and the testimony at the public hearing. Once you have the language, you
yeah,
can change it during the course of the public, or
yeah,
during or after the public hearing, during the deliberations, and that may be when you actually want to. We're
Yeah.
just trying to get a draft out so that we can get this going. Again, we have some pretty busy agendas.
yeah.
So are we gonna put it on immediately? Well, we make it.
No,
bounce
probably
maybe.
not. It
But
probably
we
is gonna
would
get
like to
bounced.
stay as compliant,
As
as
compliant.
compliant with the
Now-
statutes as we can.
Now, for those people who aren't compliant with, these automobile places, like the one that comes
There's
to
one,
mind.
the one that is
That
on
is-
everyone's mind, and Polly.
And it's
is
just horrible.
act
It's in the
like, I
center of town.
believe, I don't want to speak to what he was doing. Before the last meeting, he gave me an update. I think it was before, it was either right before or right after. He had done a lot of legal work on,
Yeah.
I think what were most, my recollection, I could be
No,
wrong.
don't even quote
is
it.
that it's gonna have to be a court action.
Yeah.
We're not we're not
getting-
getting cooperation, compliance, or,
Yeah.
and been,
So leave it at that. But,
fines are accumulating
well,
in order to be assessed.
no, well, here's the thing. I really think that we ought to, at this point, because and not just specifically about one applicant, but for those who do not comply. I think there should be a certain tolerance level where we do have fines that are leveled. You don't start off with fines right away. You start off with almost like a little leniency and a nudge with a letter, then you go to fines.
Gotten more.
But if the fines are
strict.
blown off, I think the town has the right to notify people that after 30 days or something, these fines will start to double. And I
So
think
they
we
are
need
per
to,
day. And
Well, that's
so,
what I
yeah,
mean.
we have a hearing officer. They're actually, Polly's working through those numbers.
good,
And getting to the hearing officer to get them assessed.
good,
There's these terminologies in the imposition of fines, assessment of fines, confirmation of them, and then it may end up, we need to do
Yeah.
an ordinance change, recommend an ordinance change as well.
yeah,
And that is,
because,
would be forthcoming because of it. It's pretty complex, and then you have to go to court to get it actually
well,
to hit in the right place, but we've heard feedback from, go ahead, find me. We've heard that
well,
on a
that's,
number of occasions.
Well,
because
that's what I
nothing
mean. The
compared to
town
the
needs to
profit.
be able to
And
get more teeth in
So
the,
we're working,
Yeah.
Paulie's working very hard to
okay,
find that, next level of teeth in order to get
Excellent.
compliance. I'm gonna say a few years, I mean, that one particular
Yeah,
problem
it's
comes
just-
to mind, but actually we had like
pretty
at
just-
least three.
yeah,
They get the letter, they'd
Yeah.
become compliant for a while. It might be a week, it might be 3 weeks, it might be 6 months, 3 months. And then they
well, if
get
they're
a load
repeat
in.
offenders, they
But
need to
right-
have fines
Right
too.
now, and would say since COVID, and I hate to blame COVID because I don't really, think that's the turning point, but I think there was a societal turning point at that, where they don't even, they can become compliant for a day. They're
Yeah.
not,
Well,
oh, he said he was gonna come and inspect me.
But-
And sometimes they're not even bothering to do that.
Yeah.
And it's maddening because
Yeah.
I know I would go out and take pictures to prove they came into compliance
yeah,
in the
Yeah.
past, I'm sorry.
no, that's
But a
okay.
few years ago, I would, when I was in that office, I would go take a picture because I'm like, no, they were compliant for, the 3 times that month I
Well,
drove by, and
There should be,
then they turn around again.
Usually it's a 15-day letter saying, compliant 15 days. And then they wait till the end of the 15 days, so we'll do it, and they get another 15 days.
well, no,
Okay.
but no,
And then-
that's what
and
you,
then- And then at the end of 30 days, like you said, Then it goes. to the bond.
accumulate, and that's
Yeah.
what he's working on. He's working on the accumulation and assessment of the fines too, and I think that's
They-
the right term.
You don't get to go
And-
back to, they don't get a get out of jail card.
And go to
You
the
know,
judge
To
instead.
go back to the starting point. If you run those 15 days out and you're not compliant, or you become compliant, then if you decide to play the game and go back saying, I'll wait another 15, no, we're gonna count the first offense. You know, that was your first letter, and now we're just gonna start to fine you. And I hate to take a position like that, but if we have applicants or business owners that are, you know, basically blowing us off, so to speak, and they're saying, well, go ahead and find me till the cows come home. You're never gonna get dime on. And that's just setting the pace for all the other businesses to do the same thing. And so you hate to set an example, but you have to set a fair example.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
are we referring to the blight authority? Or what exactly was the authority for the letter, Maureen, if that's a
Zoning violation.
Zoning violation.
So
Zoning violation.
I don't know if it's similar to blight where, so the notice will go out, just like you had indicated, where it's given 15 days. Although when the 15 days elapses, at that point, my understanding is, I guess you could cite them, or or in this case, is it automatically, in theory, the fines start? Like, what's the triggering mechanism for the fines? Because the 15 days goes by, the town can either choose to start
Right.
accumulating. Is that a citation process? Is there a
Yeah.
formal citation? Okay.
It's zoning violation and there's citations.
And then at that point, the statute authorizes a daily fine and then potentially lien the
Yeah,
property.
again, we're working through it, and you know, Paulie's the one digging deep, and so I don't wanna, it's not something he's keeping me aware, he's going through me, we're having the constant discussions with him as well as our attorneys, but, we've got to get the hearing officer. What we understand right now is the hearing officer is something and that wasn't a practice we used
Right.
for imposing the fines in the past. You know, they would get a letter that said, you owe $300. And really what we escalated the fines the way I was taught to do it when I came to town was, the town was inclined to be,
Cooperative.
cooperative, and yeah, and try to gain compliance
Yeah.
through friendly means. So
Yeah.
send a friendly letter, send the violation.
Letter, yeah.
It's 15 days. If they came in and they were working towards compliance, hey, and we'll pick on cars for now. I can get rid of, you know, I've got somebody to take
15
10,
cars or
15 cars by this date. And then by the end of the month, which would be closer to the 30
Oh,
days,
yeah.
I can get rid of the balance or whatever. They're working towards compliance. Working towards compliance was not, well, we're not gonna find you.
Or at least
my-
if they're trying.
My
and-
mantra at one time was, especially when we talked about unsightly materials. They can pay us $150 a day, or they can buy a dumpster. Let's have them rent the dumpster.
Yeah, really.
I'd rather you know, if you only have 150 or 200 or $300,
Mhm.
rent the dumpster, get it cleaned up in
And be done.
20
Yeah.
days, 30 days, instead of me finding you $150 a
Okay.
day so that you could work towards compliance. As I said, we're getting much less cooperation. And
Yeah.
so when we find that we haven't gotten that cooperation, we're now having, let me continue. So then when we didn't get, we'd send out a notice with the fines.
Yeah.
Right.
And it would be like once a week. We'd escalate them up to
Mhm.
a daily, but okay, well, you didn't do it. Or you did this much and then said, they're happy. I'm walking away, not doing any more. You know, it was a week. So then a fine a week. And, you know, by the time they got it in the mail and they complied again. So these methods aren't seeming to be very as effective as they once were. And
Say,
so
one 15 days, I gave you another 15 days.
Yeah.
30 days,
All right,
and
so-
it was something nice.
we're working towards it.
Yeah, so you're working toward it.
Town
That's
is,
good.
At this point, looking to get a hearing officer, because that's.
We have a hearing officer.
We do have a hearing
We have a
officer.
hearing officer. In the past, the hearing officer has
Yeah.
basically been used for somebody who challenged the fines.
And
But
So-
in order to do a certain type of assessment of the fines, it
And
appears as
I'm
though
just
we
gonna
need action from
I'm
him.
gonna shift gears to the neon lights that are on some of the businesses.
I know he
like
did
the
a tweet
smoke
for
shop.
a while and it may have been. We'll,
Yeah,
we'll
because I,
put that one back on the radar. I know it was
Yeah.
on his radar. He had definitely talked to a number of businesses.
yeah, because it's
So-
really annoying.
so
It
it's
just kind of
probably-
detracts from the center of town.
You, said last meeting that, there was some action being done on that, trucks, parking lot, rental, Deming Road. A guy, that
Yeah.
sign down there.
Yeah, so we're,
I've got more.
okay,
last-
we'll
Okay.
continue, we'll continue on the pursuit
right.
again.
Anyone else
We're
really
working
quick?
with-
More signs went up for.
Anything with, and how was the trucks on Orchard Road?
So that one, Paul
I'm
has-
sorry, I left
been-
you a voicemail. I was just fit to be tied. I should have never, I should have counted to 10 before I dialed you.
So I did talk to the zoning officer on that as well. He reached out. So I had previously reached out to the applicant, or no, I guess he called them. I asked him to call them
Yeah.
about the dirt in the road,
Just the trucks. The trucks are
ramping up
endless.
the tracking pads, et cetera. That all seems to have been taken care of. But we're gonna monitor that because it's not.
Is he
haptic.
almost done hauling?
So Paulie has a call into them. I don't know that he actually talked to them yet. He did also speak with DEP and they're going to be getting back to him with response because there were a number of people in the department that needed to be talked to before they gave us a clear
Cause I swear what he's
back. They
doing.
didn't want to give him more information. So,
I swear he's just
it-
burying the trouble.
and that's that is one of the methods for utilizing and where they can vary particularly, to the best of my knowledge, again, I'm not the
Yeah,
IT person, is under the foundations. From the get-go, I believe they said that because under the foundations is much like capping. There is
It's not what he said he was gonna do. He said he was gonna bring in fill and he was gonna
mix.
mitigate.
mix
It was
it
mixed in.
together. And he has done none of that. So
He's
what
just
he is
spreading
doing,
it
he's
around.
just capping this.
He's just spreading it.
So,
And the
the
whole
thing is,
elevation of
he's
the
gonna
lot
end up
is
seeing
coming
it.
up. And I'm like, whoa.
I mean, when he goes to dig the foundations on those 4 houses, he's gonna go deeper than where he's bringing his fill in. So he's just gonna be moving it around anyway.
Yeah. I hope that there better be waivers on those 4
There better
lots,
be waivers.
holding the town
Yep.
harmless or whatever.
Beware.
Buyer beware.
Never would have.
Right, put that
Anyway.
back on
Not
his.
doing what he
Like,
said. he was gonna do.
you know,
Yeah.
he does listen to the end of the meetings so that he hears the concern.
Good.
We've been
Okay,
doing
And-
that. And then I just want to update you with regard to the other debacle we had with the siting council and the permits on for the Chamberlain Highway site. And I did want to make you copies and I didn't get that opportunity
that's okay.
today. But the siting council did approve and reviewed the proposal, and they utilized a lot of site plan criteria for that. The town, as I said before, we did not take the opportunity to comment on the siting council letter we had gotten for that. But I did go through their plans, in the way that we would if we were doing a site plan review, under the advice of council and, given that they've applied for their permits, having received their siting council approval, that in this instance, because the town didn't comment and because they have, I went through our site plan criteria and state considered all the things that I could tell would have been things the commission would have considered, but it's under their purview because they have, without our comment, their purview is the jurisdiction of the location.
is there any,
Oh, the criteria, and that's what I wanted to copy to you, was the siting council's approval. It does have a lot of conditions on it. They asked for that one, it's 100 feet, the disturbance is gonna be 100 feet from the wetland. These are off the top of my head. Again, like I said, I didn't copy it. Disturbance is 100 feet from the wetland. DEP looked at, sensitive species as well as asked for the fencing to be lifted from, there's fencing around the entire parcel. They asked for it to be lifted for animals to pass through. Wildlife access, they, considered screening, security. They talked about the existing berm and the existing, limit of clearing. The limit of clearing is very distinct on the plan. It's called out specifically. There will be a small amount of clearing. That would be within the setbacks, but it's, they're leaving that. Security. One of the things that was raised by the commission was what happens if they stop using there's a whole thing about decommissioning and what happens when the removal of the solar panels at the time that they're no longer used. The agricultural impacts, it's on a portion of the site. It's let's see if I have it up still. Didn't remember.
And-
I think it's like 25 of the 26 acres.
I just had one question. Maureen, we'll give you a second, but
Oh, go ahead.
so I don't know. So my understanding with the municipal consultation letter is that it at least gives the town and the zoning authority or the planning authority some opportunity to weigh in on the location of the project. Certainly not saying that the siting council would have done anything differently. Do they suggest alternate sites or some alternate plans, or is it just sort of up to us to consult with them potentially in the project? I know it's a very limited type of consultation, and I don't remember exactly how it works. Don't know if you had any insight as to exactly what they were sort of seeking our consultation on.
I think that that's the question that many towns are grappling with, what we're getting feedback on. In many instances is, some of the law firms that are, I understand a limited number of law firms that are the ones most involved. And the take is the jurisdiction is under the siting council. And they'll consider what the town says. Oh, actually, I believe in the letter, it did mention that they'd noted the POCD. They had noted that, and again, that goes back to the agricultural land and realizing it's agricultural land and that the installation is on 5.6 southerly acres of the 26.8 acre site.
Was that something that the,
But
oh, I'm sorry.
no, I was just trying to answer your question about jurisdiction. There's conflicting or confusing information as to whether zoning should still be getting a site plan regardless, because if that's, if you read the sections of the statute, for instance, and because we're so very familiar right now with the 830G for affordable housing, it says local zoning shall not apply. I don't think I may not have the exact words in the order
Yeah.
correct, but it says local zoning doesn't apply. This instead talks to the siting council having sole jurisdiction, but it doesn't say zoning doesn't apply. So there's this disconnect of the towns and the operation of whether or not a town can look at it. So in this case where we didn't reply that, but they did go through the site plan concerns, I think we're in an uphill battle to challenge that. That likely not. However, in the next instance, say they should still be supplying the town with a site plan so that we can look at the how it affects the town itself that may have concerns that the siting council may not be aware of. They did have a preliminary meeting with the town. I was away when that happened. It was a year ago, over a year ago. The assistant town planner at the time went and the town engineer went to that. Again, neither as familiar with the zoning regulations as I am. They also had the required public information session, which, they send out a notice to the abutters. And a butter went to that with no objection. We did have another instance where we did object to something from the siting council. It was cell related. But, in my experience and well, you're not in a butter, so. Yeah, okay, the town's concerned with this, but the abutter is fine. So. That was the takeaway.
well,
That was
I-
my takeaway.
And
on it.
you know, Maureen, I think that's absolutely, I totally understand that was the experience. The one thing in the future is that, I mean, case law is developing in this area, and although we are not in a butter, the state is violating our zoning rules. And that, in
Yes.
my view, and
Yeah.
judges are starting to pick up on this, it is violating the town's rights. And
Yeah,
so
I
I
agree.
feel at this point that that has been the culture, Maureen. You're absolutely correct. But at some point, we're gonna start fighting back on this because the state can come in,
Yeah.
they're gonna impose these regulations on us. Judges are starting to recognize that that the town's rights are violated. We have a right to implement zoning as we see fit under, longstanding tradition in the state. So that is something that's happening.
I agree. And they should wake up.
Three instances in town, so ours, that the siting commission, then suggestions were made by the town and siting council. Okay, and did whatever they wanted to,
But
exactly what they did.
I think the whole thing is that we, as noted, we have regulations. And they don't get carte blanche. I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's the federal government. I don't care if it's the state government. They do not have carte blanche in this town. We have these regulations set up. They have you do a plan of conservation and development, and they just march on through and say, we're gonna tell you, you're gonna do this. Nobody has told me who this is gonna benefit. I would like to know where all this power is going. Are they gonna be paying the town's electrical bills? Are we all gonna benefit? I didn't benefit from my electric bill last month. I don't know about anyone else.
Pay for the electric
So,
And if the siting council,
I left
starts
it on
real-
my desk.
I mean, I'm really angry about
and if
that.
the siting council really is doing something that's against even their own regulations, it's state law and federal law, and it's a project that is just really oppressive to the town. At this point, towns are fighting back, I can tell you, and they do have standing to at least get into court. That is something that is being developed now. How much success, that's the first step. Is at least we have a right to get into court if necessary.
That's very honest.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so our council is in agreement that, well, mostly in agreement that the purview, or rather the ability for the town to comment by virtue of the site plan
Yeah.
being submitted, possibly, I guess still to be determined whether the location itself against the zoning rules of which zones allow for
Mhm.
uses is, that still needs a little more vetting. I'm
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep turning away from you. That's, I think that needs a little more investigation, but not in disagreement with that. In this instance where we didn't ask to intervene in that comment letter, within the prescribed time period.
What,
And that was a year ago. It
how
was
did
last
we miss
winter.
that?
It was last winter.
Oh, well, you only were a party of one last winter.
It was, due.
All right, so I can understand. that.
I think we got Alexa on board. She drafted a letter quickly. It was due 2 days before that, or rather 2 days after she started. And
And
I
yet the
thought,
state said.
I
no.
thought I had edited it. I recall editing it. Thought it had gotten sent. We didn't have an administrator at that time yet.
Yeah.
I remember where I was still interviewing for administrators, and I can't find proof it got sent to them. Their letter says they did not receive one. So I think the mailing of the letter that Alexa, who has experience with siting councils, that was one of the positives of her experience, was she had experience with these applications. She had drafted a letter and then
Yeah.
just don't believe
Okay.
it got delivered to the state. So in this case, it is at the point where it's a lost opportunity, is what council has kind of. And again, she can't be on tonight. She had a conflict as well as she.
No, that's okay.
Not.
All right.
Just one last quick point, if I may, Madam Chair.
Yeah, sure.
Let's say we do in the future, just thinking about the process in the future, that we do indicate to the siting council that we do want, actually, it's the applicant who sends the letter. I don't think the siting council even sends it. I think they're required to send the letter to
Or
us.
send the letter that then is the comment period from the siting. So I believe, and then I think we get a letter from the siting council saying they got the application.
And then at that point, would the commission have the ability to weigh in, or would this be done administratively and through planner comments? Just in the future, just what to anticipate.
I think either.
Okay,
I think if we get them for cell towers every,
oh,
like, because they're always changing the antennas. And who's on the antenna and who's changing them. So, those we do completely administratively. But certainly we get the comment letter, they actually go to the town manager's office. I believe that's who gets, and then there's copies to different departments. But that's who gets the official notice. We could put it in the package when they come, much like we do newsletters or anything else. We can say it, got put in, and then if there's comments, but I'm leaning towards if we have a way to get the cooperation. And again, some towns, it seems to be apparent that the applicants, if they're advised to apply for P and Z, they apply to P and Z. I think at that preliminary meeting last year that when they came in, I don't think they got that advice. I tend to think, knowing what the commission has looked at, and actually it falls in my mind is the cell tower. There was one cell tower that came in since I started working here that didn't ultimately go through, but it was definitely going through planning and zoning. That was at Prince of Peace Church. And that, there was a P and Z process for that siting council item. So I would have been, in my head would have been, well, yeah, they come to P and Z, but again, maybe I wouldn't have in that month. It was just depending. But I don't believe that was the advice they were given up front either by, looking blankly at the regulations and unfamiliarity necessarily with the statutes.
For deciding council. Each goes side council. What the process is so far, somewhere in Berlin, there, or Buckley Road. Vicinity of Berlin Fair.
We did get an inquiry. And I was trying to figure out what parcel it was. I'd have to think back. It was a couple weeks ago and it was, I think it was not allowed in the zone. I think.
Berlin Fair and the land there that.
Oh, no, actually, that wasn't, no, I'm sorry. The inquiry we got wasn't for that. It was for cells of some sort, storage. It was for electrical storage.
Okay.
Oh, again,
Try to rip.
So keep an eye on
Okay,
that area.
all right. This executive session thing, do we really have to do it?
so it doesn't look like Pat is here. Our attorney isn't here. I just want to let you know that you got the revision again in your packages. If anybody has anything to comment on, please let me know. And he really would love to move towards a resolution, so we give him feedback. That's great.
Gotta put that,
So-
get the engineering plan.
So
Oh,
how about, you know what, Just really quick, is there any way we can have Glenn come in and look at that plan? Is that?
It's very costly. So we'll look into perhaps asking for an estimate from him, but that would be the town's responsibility to pay for. She had a conflicting meeting.
I'm here, actually.
We're just wrapping up, Jen.
How are you feeling very quick?
Not great.
All right, well, you know what? Don't tax yourself, Jennifer, get some rest, because we're gonna enjoy an early evening, because we know we probably won't see one of these again for another year. So you please take care of yourself, and we'll look at the plans, and we'll give Maureen any feedback, okay?
Yeah, it
Should we
looks like
check-
you're missing a lot of folks, so I think that makes sense. Yep.
Okay, all righty.
Thank you.
You take care. Good night. I'm
Thank
gonna,
you. Good night, you
all right.
guys.
bye.
Hear yourself.
Yes, okay, motion to adjourn. Someone. All right, motion by Mr. Dykens, second by Ms. Millard. It's 8:21. Thank God.
Yeah,
All those in favor?
that was a
Those-
record.
All right. Those opposed, so moved. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Drive safe.
Let me do this. Yeah.